about setting the stage versus closing the sale. So I think this is a really interesting topic. And so I'm going to be asking you guys to share and to talk. So please be ready to unmute and wave your hand or put your digital hand up, because this is like a participation thing. So I want to ask, does anybody know, or can anybody tell me what setting the stage is, what it means in sales? Anybody? Tamara?
Maybe. I think setting the stage is like telling them giving them benefits of what you're going to sell. You're not selling them yet. You're just telling them what they need.
Right. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Kelly, I think you raised your hand.
I was going to say, get ready with almost like a hook message to sort of create curiosity.
Yep. All those are good. Okay, how about closing the sale? What does closing the sale to you guys mean? I hope you all know, because
Getting the money.
You
getting the money.
Getting the money.
Closing that sale.
Deposit, right?
Bring in the money.
And that one's a little easier. So so which do you guys think is the most important, setting the stage or closing the sale?
Both.
Closing the sale.
Margot, what did you have to say?
No, I think both. You can't have one without the other, I guess. And isn't setting the stage more about creating a sort of connection? I don't know, but
yes, yeah, and you're right. I'm going to propose that if you set the stage properly, you really won't have to try that hard to close, because they'll actually close themselves. They'll be so ready that they'll be pretty much asking you. Setting the stage is really what I'm going to talk about today. I just put that out there because I think we get so focused on closing techniques and doing things this way and that way. And I really want you to start thinking a little bit differently. I want you to be thinking about, what do I have to do so that the close naturally happens? And that's setting the stage, right? Setting the stage for a successful sale is that you really won't have to try that hard. It will just happen, because it will ensure that your product and services are really well received by your customers, because you've set it up to win, right? It's all the stuff you do before you would ever get to a close that's really important. And I'm just going to go through a couple about 6 different tips. One, you want to really understand your customer before you even attempt to sell anything. You've got to understand who your target audience is, who you're talking to, researching their needs, preferences, and obviously we hear about the pain points all the time. We need to know what they want and what they want to fix, because our products, services, or whatever should be a solution to them. But we have to understand their buying behavior too, because that's going to help you tailor your sales approach and how you set the stage. Building that rapport, which is, that trust factor, right? That's going to be about how you're talking to your prospects. And really it helps them. Building that sense of trust is going to help make your customers more receptive to you and your product both. This one is so important. Ask questions and listen. It's not just the asking the questions. You really have to listen to what people are saying. You're not going to launch right into a sales pitch right away, because people just shut right down the minute they hear the word pitch, a sales pitch. And it is reason I don't like to use pitch. I don't say it. Pitch your product. I don't like to do that in that word. It just rubs me the wrong way. I want to be receptive, but it's because I want to hear about you and I want to understand what you have, so to see how it fits for me, right? The way to do that with your prospect is going to be through that active listening and really understanding, asking questions, but listening to those responses so that you're coming across as genuine. And if you're really listening, you really are going to come across as genuine. Providing value is absolutely paramount. You have to show your customers how your product or service can solve their specific problems and how it's going to improve their lives, right? By highlighting your unique benefits, like Kelly did that when she was talking about, she pointed right at some of the things people said and said, this fits that, right? She showed how that benefit that she has in her product could help specific individuals. That's offering real value and solutions. It's not a sales pitch, which is very different. So, and this is one of the ones that is the overcoming objections. Like, this is really, really important about what we're going to talk about, because this is the crux of what we're going to talk about, is setting the stage, is overcoming objections and anticipating and addressing potential objections and concerns that your customers might have. You have to be prepared to provide the answers and solutions that alleviate their doubt, but we really need to do that prior to ever talking about like what it looks like for them to have the product. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. And we need to create a sense of urgency. Why do they need that now? Why do they need it sooner rather than later? And some of those things are questions like, how soon do you want to do blank? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you to do this? That is part of the questions, right? Those are how you position that and increase that sense of urgency. How committed they are to wanting to fix whatever it is that they've identified. Remember that the setting the stage for a sale, it's not about pushing a product on customers, but it's about guiding them towards a decision that aligns with their needs and their interests. We're building trust, we're providing value, but we're also understanding our customers' perspectives that, are in alignment with a successful sales strategy that leads to a close, right? We don't want to feel like we've come in and bulldozed somebody to buy our product. That will always end in a one and done, and they'll never order again because that wasn't their decision. So that's why we want to talk about the setting the stage in your business specifically. So I'm going to actually have you guys do a little exercise, and because we're going to reverse engineer our possible and or our probable objections that we get in our business. Each one of us have them, and they're different. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take a short amount of time. I'm going to tell a quick story, but I'm setting the stage for what I'm going to have you do, right? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, then I'm going to have you do it. That's setting the stage. So I want you to actually think about 5 to 6 objections that you would naturally get with your customers. Sometimes it's price, fill your head with them. Sometimes it's space or time or whatever those things are, right? So I want you to be thinking about those. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't know what these things are, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to stay out of defense mode and or convince mode with your customers. It is the thing that will push you right there. So I don't know, anybody fallen into that defense mode or convince mode during a close? I'm gonna raise my hand. So okay, so I'm gonna give you about 3 minutes. Hopefully you can do it in 3 minutes, because hopefully you already know them, to write your top 5 to 6 objections. So LaDonna, you can it's 11:53. So 3 minutes, 11:56. While you do that, I'm gonna let the crazy dog in so he stops scratching the door. And if you get done sooner, just raise your digital hand.
And don't be scared because we're going to go through these and help you with them. So Kelly was fast. She's got this down. Look at her. Margot. Woo-hoo! All right, Teresa's ready.
Yeah, okay. I meant to tell the story, so I'm gonna go ahead since we're about halfway. That I was gonna tell you before I did that. So one of my mentors, E.A. Solkovitz, he's the founder of Givers University. His mentor's name was Sam. And Sam actually got called into a company that sold water purification systems. And they wanted him to teach their salespeople how to close more effectively. They were having trouble closing and it was super frustrating for them. So they paid him a lot of money to come in and revamp their system. So the interesting thing about this is that the water purification system was fairly large and it sat on the counter in the kitchen, right? So one of the things that was an issue for people because, well, first I'll back up. The salespeople were struggling. And so when he came in, he put them all in a room and then he didn't actually ask them, anything about how they were trying to sell or give them any selling techniques. What he did was he had them all write out exactly what I just had you write out. Now, here's the reason why he did this. He said, it's not the system itself, it's you. Because you're not preparing them to hear the benefits of your product and why they need your product. So he said, you're not setting the stage for the sale. So he took them and he said, I need to know what your top objections are. What are you getting from people when you're trying to close a sale? So he took that in and then he rewrote the entire presentation on the water purification system and then set them out with this new presentation. And what he did, I'll give you an example of one of the things, because the system was large and that would sat on the counter, he actually used that objection as a reason for a sale. Because one of the reasons that it sat on the counter is because it was portable and it could be taken anywhere you wanted to take it. So he had them in their presentation, he reworded it such as, have you ever gone to somebody's house and like you've gone to get a glass of water and it smelled like sulfur or rotten eggs? Oh, I have. Like it was foul. I wish I'd had that with me. And he said, or gone camping or gone on vacation somewhere and the water just tasted awful. He said, you don't have a problem with that because now you have a solution. You can take this with you because this system is portable. So he took the elephant in the room, the fact that it was big, and then he actually turned it into his positive, right? So that was kind of one of those things that was unusual, right? And like, what should have been a problem, but he turned it into an asset inside the presentation. That was setting the stage. Prior to that, saying, it sits right on the counter, and while it may take up some space, you're going to be able to always have clean water, no matter where you go. Right. So he wove that right into the presentation. You know what? And that goes back to something I said before about value. That value, right? He built that value in while he was setting the stage before he ever got to any kind of a close. That became a value point. And he gave him very specific examples with the vacation, with going to someone's house. That'll never happen to you again, right? So that value is king. And he did this with each objection that they gave. He took the collaborative whole of them. And then he actually reworked everything they were saying about the system and included all of those points as positive things in it rather than avoiding them. And so when he did that, what do you think happened to the sales presentations? What do you think happened to their close ratio? Absolutely huge. Went way off the chart. It never, the system didn't change. That was the point. The system didn't change. He simply helped them change their language and how they were positioning it. I always say it's, that kind of way in doing that is a little bit like acknowledging there's an elephant in the room, but being glad that the elephant is there. Like, we're not going to, not acknowledge whatever the thing is. We're going to talk about it, incorporate it in it, and turn it into a positive. But remember, the setting the stage occurs long before you even start the presentation. I like to think about it's like dropping stakes in the ground to anchor what you're going to present. So this happens long before you would think of at an end of a sales presentation or a close. So it happens while you are prospecting. Maybe you're in Messenger, you're reaching out to somebody, you're on a connection call with somebody. These are all setting the stage moments, right? You're talking about things that are assets to your product or service inside that conversation. When you do reminders, when you begin the presentation, you're going to knit those in because they're all setting the stage points. So I want to have, was somebody going to be brave now? You can take your digital hand down if you want, or you can wave your hand or whatever. I would actually really like for you to share, somebody to share at least one of their, or one of the biggest objections that they have, because I want us to kind of go through that. Kelly, awesome. I love it. Leaders always raise their hand first. Kelly, you give us one, and then what we're going to do collectively as a group. It's like, this isn't the Sherri show. I want, because you guys are all smart business owners, you're going to help set the stage and turn that language around for her so that it becomes a positive selling point rather than an objection. Okay. So Kelly, go ahead and give us what your most common objection is.
So we're talking the patches. My most common objection is what's in it.
Okay. Okay. So does anybody want to give a thought to that? I will share if not.
To it. What do you mean? Give a thought to it, respond to her?
Yes, like give her an idea of what it would sound like to help her set the stage for when that comes.
When she said, what did you say again? What's in it?
Yeah, so my patch is a drug-free patch. So the first, even though I introduce it as being a drug-free patch, the question still is, what are the ingredients? What's in it?
What's in it? What's in it? That's the question. That's your objection. What's in it?
Yeah, because people don't want to, they think there is no drugs, there's no medicine, there's nothing in this patch. But even though it's just a pattern that is put onto the patch. So even when I say it's drug-free, I still get that question. Can you give me a list of ingredients?
Right. Well, do you have a list of ingredients?
No,
it has to be something in it.
No, there's nothing in it. It's a pattern that is stamped on the patch that as soon as it touches your skin, it optimizes that part of the neurology. So
that's the answer. You answered your own question. But my question, no, I'm curious now. I'm curious. Okay, so if I buy that patch.
Hey, that worked. Oh, sorry.
If I buy that patch and there's no instructions on the back, there's nothing on the back that I'm going to be able to read to tell me what this patch was made of. Because it was created from something.
Well, okay, so on the package, all it says is apply patch. What does it say? Apply patch firmly to clean, dry, unbroken skin. Position patch away from joint or sensitive skin wear up to 24 hours. But then each patch says, so this one is a focus patch, and it says study like never before. Peace says handle stress like never before. Freedom says handle pain like never before. So that's
Okay.
really what's the only thing on the package.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Can I put my 2 cents in if I'm one of
Absolutely.
your clients? If it was me selling that patch, I would go back to the manufacturer who I'm selling for, and I would address that, because in my own, I'm just saying, in my mind, everything is made of something. And as a promoter or your marketer, I need to know that answer. That's just I'm just talking off the top of my head, because that could be a hindrance to me selling that product. Because now they're gonna think, well, I don't know, but everything is made of something.
It's
So
a
maybe in your
it's a
training, that's a good question you might want to bring up, because that's an objection that you need to
it's
know.
it's a vibrotactile touch is what is the patch is called.
Okay, so I understand what Pat's
Yeah.
saying. I think the first thing you're gonna have to do
Oops.
is you're gonna have to acknowledge that, you know what, that's a great question, and I get that frequently. You're gonna
Okay.
have to acknowledge they're not a
Yeah.
weirdo for asking, and say, and actually, I really love answering that question because it actually doesn't have any ingredients. It is that whatever vibro techno, I would say that. And what that means is this is how it interacts in your on your skin, and it causes this without having any ingredients in it.
Oh, I love that.
The thing is, they can't really question the technology, probably because they don't understand that. But you can say, if you're very much a science-y person, I can give you some more details on that, right? Like, the thing is, most people are like, well, I can't have caffeine, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. They're not necessarily saying they don't want your product. What they're saying is they don't understand that, right? So you can lead with that. You could actually weave into your presentation, say, you know what, this patch is a drug-free, zero ingredient. You're setting the stage, zero ingredient patch that uses blank vibro whatever technology that interacts in your system, and what it causes is this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
But I think also with that, coming from my head, what is that fibro technology? I don't know what that is. Explain that to me. Maybe in your presentation, explain that quickly, but explain it. Because and the other day, I remember you saying something that the wavelengths go to the brain or something. And that was like the first time I'd ever heard you say that, Kelly. And that made more sense to me than saying it has no ingredients. Because I'm like Dr. Pat, it has to do something somehow.
Right.
I want to know how it works, you know? Oh, and Anita has her hand up.
Yep. Go ahead, Anita.
Kelly, when I talked to you, I thought you did a good job explaining it to me, but not everybody has the same background I have in terms of how neurology works.
Right.
So what I believe is that you just seed throughout, and connection is currency. So as you're making connections, you start to seed that, hey, I have something that works in a way most of us have never thought about. You know, it works on our neurological system rather than through medication or drugs. That just kind of seeds it, and you don't have to get really technical. And just for everybody else, I have a.
Did she freeze?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Son with MS. My knowledge of all the neurology is probably way more than a lot of people's to understand how it works. So, but Kelly explained it to me brilliantly. So just seeding it earlier for people who don't have that background knowledge may be helpful.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. That was
Thank you. Yes.
well, thank you, Dr. Pat and Dr. Anita both. And LaDonna, I think, one of the things that we're seeing is, that setting the stage is also, it's like weaving all the little pieces in all the way along. And another really good way to do that is to say, which patch was the one you just said, Kelly? Was it for?
The one I held up was the focus patch.
Okay, so that's like, can you imagine sitting down to do a project at your desk and literally looking up and it's done, like staying that focused that from, you're like painting the picture of this is what this will do for you. If that's important to you, then this is something you're really going to want to integrate into your daily life. Like, that's setting the stage. This is maybe where you are right now. And some of that's going to be asking questions, do you struggle with focus? What if you had better focus, what would that mean to you in your business or at home or at work and your relationships, whatever you're aiming at, right? And what would that mean? And how much better would your life be if that level was able to increase, right? When you're talking about pain, that's a huge thing. That's like when you're saying, if your pain could go from an 8 to a 3, how much better, or how would you feel about that? How much better would that be for you? And that might be those questions of, would it be important for you, meaning the questions are the answer, would it be important for you if you were able to do that in a drug-free, natural way with your own brain power, however you want to
right,
word that.
No, I see that.
Like those are all stitching those all together in that stage. And when you get to that end, if you want to say the end to close, they're going to be saying, oh, I'm going to need that. By the time you get there and you've asked all those questions and given all that value into why and how it's going to address that, you're going to be having a sale. I mean, they're going to say, how do I get it?
Right.
Does anyone else have an objection that they would like to have? Dar, go ahead.
A hard no.
A hard no, huh?
A hard no. Just a right out, flat, right out.
That's funny.
No.
What is the no in answer to? How are you sharing? Because that's the part of setting the stage.
I would be using my greeting cards.
So setting the stage in the greeting cards is going to be slightly different because in the greeting cards, it's going to be almost 100% emotion. Those are going to be purchases that people are making with emotion for someone else, right? So this is like literally, this is going to be navigated by the words you say. Who has someone, like I'm thinking about, like if you're having your 1 minute or whatever, who has someone that they really love that they would just like to send a random I love you to? That those are setting the stage, right? You're asking them who has a boss that they love and would love to share for Bosses Day. Raise your hand if you know any nurses that you would love to tell them you're so thankful they do what they do. Do you see what I mean? You gear it like in your pitches, wherever you are, hate to use a word, but when you're sharing, it's geared toward events. Like, in the holiday cards, are you the person that, wants to pay $12 a box, or you want somebody that you love to have that one of a kind card?
And Dar, I think what I have been hearing you, some things that you really need to add into your, when you speak about your cards, don't use handmade, use custom made, lovingly made.
Or custom created is another one.
Custom created, yes, that would be, but not handmade, because some people in that mindset of theirs, that's like a 4-year-old making a card, homemade, which it's not. We know, us artistic people know this, but everyone doesn't think alike. We have to remember that. And we don't know what mind we're talking to. So always custom made and one of a kind, because she made me 5 Halloween cards. None of them were alike. None of them were even similar. And, I just think that one of a kind is so important, Dar. I really
agree. It's very special. Teresa?
You're
trying to figure out how to unmute on a phone. So I make handmade cards for fun because I scrapbook and I use them for my own personal use. But with the one thing, because of what I've gone through this year, is that I never knew the right words to say when somebody's grieving. And you go into CVS, Walgreens, look at these cards, and none of them say anything about the pain of the person that's going through the grief. There's so much generic commentary. And so I came up with my own, but I'm saying is like, if you can't, and I don't know about your cards, and they might already have this in them, but if they really speak authentically and they're not just canned cards, you have to tell the customer that these cards are like no other, because if you don't, and if you say, have you ever been in this situation, like when Sherri's saying set the stage, you're setting the stage. Have you ever gone to CVS or Walgreens and you're like one of my cousins just lost their father and I don't even have the right words to say. And then and they're like, yeah. And I said, well, my cards do have the right words to say, and you need my cards, and you need them in your possession. So they're always ready to go, so that's my 2 cents.
I think that was very valuable, Teresa. And I think actually 100% true. And it's very much a selling point, Dar, in that also you can say in your repertoire of setting the stage, if you want specific language inside that card or I love penguins or whatever it is, if you want specific things in there, I can do that for you because I'm going to custom create your cards for you so that it comes with your heart and your message.
Right.
And another thing, Dar, one other thing, my daughter, for like the Halloween cards, I sent them to both of my daughters and 3 of the grandchildren. I had 5 cards. And my youngest daughter said, Mom, these cards are picture perfect. That was Christy's words. These are picture perfect. I could frame these and use them during the fall and Halloween season. And she was so right.
And that's
they're like a picture.
Selling point to set the stage for you doing holiday ones for Christmas.
Picture perfect. Can I get you to get her to send me a reaction?
Yes, I will. I will.
That
yes.
would be wonderful.
Yeah,
that's a good ask, Dar. But actually, I think that is really an important thing. My cards are so beautiful that they can be framed and used as decor.
Yes.
Which I think is probably the highest compliment for a crafter, in my opinion.
Yeah, right?
Because it's not something you're going to want to throw away. It's not a card you're ever going to want to throw away.
No, right. Exactly. Did anyone else have something they wanted to share with Dar before we ask someone else? No? Okay.
I think Dr. Pat did want to have didn't you have your hand up earlier, Dr. Pat? I think I seen.
Oh, that was I'm lost. That was when she was
that was just
when she was asking for objections for us to read off our stuff. So I was just
Yes.
listening.
Do you have one that you want to talk about?
Yeah, but she wanted to. I didn't want to comment on Dot though.
Oh, okay.
I just,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was
No,
all I did.
we're ready for the next one. Did you want to be next,
oh,
Pat?
oh. Well, I had one of the objections that people come up with is, of course, no money.
Yes.
They broke, which is so disheartening to hear an entrepreneur say they broke and they don't have money.
That is true. I always want to say, how's that working for you?
It's sad.
But I don't say that.
I know you can't say what you feel.
No.
Some words I just don't say because we speak things into fruition. And I'm gonna say something else about that. I'm glad I'm on this subject. I'm gonna go ahead and say where I'm going in. Sometimes when we say those words, it's happened to me so many times in this since I've been an entrepreneur. A person would tell me, "Oh, well, when they come to me, tie up my time to get these free nuggets and all that for conversation, schedule it on the calendar." And then what happens? They say they don't have money, and later on, I'll see them doing something else that costs much more than what I was offering them. So my point on that is this, and even with the ticket sales, I remember specifically, especially when I first started out, I would get these sob stories from people. One lady I remember in particular, "Oh, well, I got AIDS, and I got AIDS, but I really wanted to come. You give me all this stuff to feed me the negative so I can sympathize and be empathetic." And then I said, "Well, I tell you what, just pay half price for the ticket. Can you do that?" "Yes, I can." "Oh, yeah, thank you so much." She got to that event, and Bill Walsh was speaking, and he was offering $497 packages. And I saw it, and she was in their line. So my point on that is this: we have to be very careful for the integrity. Our integrity is shot because people are always watching. And that causes a distinction in the trust that people have in you. And then they don't, for me, I shut down. When I see dishonesty and a lack of integrity, I can show it with a smile, but it's something that relationship will never be the same. And I just thought I'd throw that out because that's common in this arena.
Yeah,
if you don't want
I
something,
agree.
say you don't want it, but don't lie and say, "Well, I'm broke." And if you say that, you better be careful because God hears every word. I told one of my clients last night, "Don't tell people you're broke, baby. Just say it's not in your budget." That's it. I ain't never gonna tell.
That's a good entrepreneur nugget right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in my budget. And the other thing is it's if it's not in their budget and that's what they want to use, and whether it's true or not, at least helps the other person understand. Because, as we're talking about setting the stage, we have to back up and think, how did I misstep in that I didn't provide or did I provide the value? And it's not really true. It's just an excuse. So like there is that, we always want to be looking at what are we saying? What are we created? What are we doing? And part of that comes with, if you still get the objection of that, like price at the end, was it not value? Did I not create enough value, or was it really price? It might really have been price. It may not. I don't know. We don't know how other people respond, but we do want to make sure that we are creating enough value in that stage setting as we go along that we're gonna I guess cross off most of those objections by the time we get there. And in terms of that, I think, Pat, some of that is, and I know you know this as well. Like, I think sometimes it might be the little pocket of people that we ended up in, and we need to get out of the pocket, so to speak. Because when you provide a value and a valuable service, it's worth paying for. And if you don't charge, then it's not worth paying for. I mean, right? Like you're not gonna make it worth it to other people if you give it away always for free. I'm not saying not to serve and do things free at times, because I think there is a reason to do it for free at times, but most of the time it is, if there is not some skin in the game, there is no win in the game, so to speak. I just made that up, but does anybody have any other
Anita had
suggestions
her
for Pat?
hand up.
Does anybody else have any suggestions for Pat real quick?
Dr.
Yes,
Anita
go
had
ahead,
her
Dr.
hand
Anita.
Yeah, I was, sometimes if you frame it, or at least I found, as what's it costing you not to do it? There's a difference between a cost and an investment in yourself. And just kind of shifting that frame of reference. If you have a pain point and it's already costing you, you know, what's it going to cost you more not to do it? And so, yes, and for some people, it truly is a budget issue. But just, again, changing it to what's it already cost you? And there's a difference between a cost and an investment.
Ranger.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Anita. And who did you say was next, LaDonna?
Dar would be next.
Oh, Dar, you have a question or comment? Go ahead.
On the topic of giving something away for free, it's hard to do sometimes because very recently my pastor's wife commissioned me for a 10-card order, and she asked me, she called me and asked me how much I charge for cards. And I said, well, it's all on the website. I don't have it memorized yet for everybody else, but for you, I'll do them for you for free. That was unacceptable to her. And she just came out right and said, because she saw the value in my cards.
Yes.
And she came out and said, I want to commission you. Right. So, and you know, you're right. Anita was right in saying that you got to be careful with how you do that, because you could be getting yourself or setting yourself up for a good possible sale.
I must have missed something. You said you told her she wanted you to look on the website. What did you tell her that she had to commission you on? I missed
Well,
that.
she wanted to commission me for 10 Christmas cards. Okay. And I said, well, for you, they're free,
Right.
because she's someone I look up to. She's someone that's really important in my heart community, because she's my pastor's wife at our church and so on and so on. And it's a small group, and I just wanted to offer them to her for free because they have done so much for our whole community as a whole. So I wanted it to be a thank you, but that was a kind of a big order. So I said, oh, cool. So I accepted her in letting her commission me for them. So that's just to give you an idea on
Well, what she was doing was reflecting your own worth back to you. That's what she was doing. She was saying your work and your time is valuable and worthy of payment. Now, you could have said, when you did the order, you could have given her 2 free bonus cards or something and say, hey, I put a little bonus in there. That would have been a little extra thank you if you wanted to do that. And I'm much more of a fan of, if you're going to create specials, to give something extra than to really decrease the price of something. That's kind of the way I prefer to do that. But to bonus things instead of discount them all the time, but that's a different conversation. Bye, honey. So, okay, bye, Teresa. I think, oh, she left. Okay. So do we have one last quick one before we wrap up? Does anybody have one?
I have to think about it.
You,
Okay.
Go ahead, Donna. Sorry about that.
well, no, it's fine. I was just going to, one of my big ones is, well, I've already had so many people try to teach me different things and help me in my business. How are you different? What are you going to do different than others? And I think that's probably if you sell patches or you sell Mary Kay or travel or whatever, how can you do it different? And I always have remarks back to that because I've been done that way. Not received what I thought I was going to receive. But I would like to hear what Sherri and the rest of you have to say about that, because I think we've all probably been questioned that.
My
Sometimes.
immediate thing that just popped immediately into my head for you, LaDonna, was that when you're talking to somebody, I want to invite you to my community. You know, when you have something that you want to bring, or if you have something that you would like some consideration on or want some feedback on, there's anywhere from 8 to 12 people who are going to lock or put their minds together and to help you. That's what my community does. We want you to win inside this community.
Awesome.
I mean, just like we've done here today, I hope even if you didn't share an objection, I hope that you got something important that you can at least give you some food for thought. I hope that you will take some time and think about those objections that you wrote and rework the way you speak about your product, your service, or what you do, so that you can set the stage so that they'll close themselves, because ultimately that's the goal. Like, I can't wait to be on the next event that LaDonna is doing, right? Because like I've been pumped up. This is what I'm going to get. This is what I'm going to get. This is what I can do. This is where I can share. I'll get to teach and train and do all these things. I have opportunities galore. I can't wait. Send me the link.
Okay, so I cannot believe, Sherri, our time is just, it has went by fast. And I think that every one of us have learned something or thought about something that we should have been doing and we haven't been doing, or maybe bringing up some words out of our memory bank that we should start utilizing, and maybe going backwards into a conversation like Sherri said at the beginning. And I think this has been so valuable. And I want everyone to remember, yes, we spent an hour talking about this today, or any subject at any event. Thank you, Dar. Thank you. But we want to let you know that it doesn't end here. You can always message one of us, Sherri, Anita, me, Kelly, whoever, and we will continue to help you through the conversations. Because what we are here as a membership group, as a member, we want to help each other businesses grow, thoughts grow, your mind grow, get your mojo right. With that, our next Monday mojo is Monday. That is the only event we will have next week, because we will be busy with the turkey next week and family and friends and doing whatever we love to do during that week. But I did want to have at least Monday Night Mojo on Monday. And with that said, everyone, please go to your social media and go to the members group and share what you've learned, what we've talked about. Invite. Kelly, thank you so much for inviting Margot.
Everybody wave.
Wave so we can get our pictures.
Got it.
Yay.
You know, I just want to say also, LaDonna, thank you so much for allowing me the space to do this. I've not actually done this specific thing before, but it was really valuable. It was helpful for me as well as a business owner, because it always, you know, somebody will always say that one thing that you go, oh, I need to do that. And I very much appreciate all of that, and we'll take your wisdom in as well. I do a 60-minute call. I have a one and done. I don't want to take on long-term coaching. I know LaDonna knows this because we've done it together before, but Dar and I have as well. I'm happy to, schedule time to do, one that is specifically just for you and your business. So
Awesome. So take that up with Sherri, because I'm going to tell you what, anytime that Sherri gives you a minute or 3, it is well worth your journey with her. It's like a magical spell comes over her brain, and it's just like a brain fart happens, and this glorious words come out, and it just pops. Yes, just pops. And Sherri and I have had several conversations, and every time I leave just fuller in my heart and in my head. She's not just learning and teaching, she just fills your heart with glory. So thank you all for being here. I hope to see each and every one of you on Monday. Margot, I hope that you put your information in the chat. I do have mine in the chat. So I've not conversated with you yet. Excited to do so. If anyone does not know, go down to the bottom of the chat, the 3 little dots, click it and save chat. That way you will have it. All right, beautiful. Thank you, Dar. Here is a screenshot if any of you want to use it to put on your social media, but please post something. Post something. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye.
thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
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 Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.